friends. If you're new, my name is Karina, and today we're going to talk about personal style. Of course, if you read the title, I am also tired of hearing about personal style, but I think this is a great segue to just open the discussion about something that I feel in the fashion space that has been seemingly just a buzzword of figuring out what truly makes personal style, and that maybe it's not really that deep. We all know the way we consume fashion has significantly changed due to our online presence, also contributing to a hyper-focused styles and niche aesthetic. This had led me to explore more on the topic of personal style, and the idea was sparked when I saw Mina Lee's new video called The Death of Personal Style. And I had similar thoughts and also questions, and I really wanted to sit down and discuss some of these. These are conversations that I feel like are very imperative in the fashion space, and also as someone who is a BIPOC plus size content creator who focuses on fashion but in a more sustainable and secondhand. Honestly, I feel like all different perspectives are so valid when it comes to participating in the fashion industry, and I think all of us need to be heard. So I want to contribute my viewpoint as well. Before we dive into these topics, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is Dossier. I was introduced into Dossier last spring, and I have truly found some of my favorite scents on there. Dossier has a wide variety of designer fragrance impressions inspired by some of the most popular perfumes. Think Chanel, Dior, Le Labo. And if you're not sure where to start, they also have a quiz online in which it would help tailor to find a perfect scent for yourself. I actually finished one of my Dossier perfumes when I was abroad. The scent was called Floral Berries, and it's inspired by Joe Malone's Pony. I wore it almost every day in my trip, and that's something that I enjoy about fragrance, is that you can really tie it to an experience. Now every time I'll wear Floral Berries, I think about my time in France during Paris Fashion Week and just how much that scent became a part of me during that time. Another scent that me and my partner enjoy is Citrus Ginger, and it is inspired by Bleu de Chanel. Wear it all the time. As you can see, we're halfway through. It just smells so divine, and it's so interesting because when I spray it has a little bit more of the peppermint ginger scent, but when my fiance wears it, it smells more like musky and sandalwood, which is so intriguing because you can both try the same fragrance, but based on your pH balance, it's gonna smell completely different to you. So Dossier is having a sale. You can check the link in the description. Thank you, Dossier, for sponsoring this portion of the video. And now let's get back to it. So let's start off by defining what personal style means. And Nikki Reggie defines personal style as the expression of one's ideas. It reflects personal values and identity. Personal style is akin to artistic style, where the individual expresses their deeper beliefs and ideals through their clothing choices. As someone who really uses clothing to self-express themselves, I can 100% agree with this definition. I feel like when we think about personal style, we think of tailoring it to your own part of identity, and huge on the word identity because I think this comes into play later on, talking about individuality, how it could be hard to have one when you're chronically online. As we all know, clothing plays an essential role in our social lives and communicates the values of both the individual and the society they live in. I know you've heard this before. We constantly talk about how much trends have changed over the years and how fast they're continuing to change because of the platforms such as TikTok, and how short form content has impacted our social lives and the way we are interacting with so many different people across the world. And because of this, you have so much access to more information. The main argument of these aesthetics is that it is rooted in consumerism rather than a subculture, that trends are focusing more on acquiring specific pieces. Think the Fry boot, think the Target fur coat, and the emphasis on dupes further the commodities of these aesthetics. Rather than cultivating a consistent style, people are focusing more on pieces, and I think that is an issue because of TikTok.
The way we talk to content creators about clothing, as well as the way we talk about clothing, is extremely devaluing. For example, yesterday I made a video about a cardigan. In the video, I lay out what the cardigan is, what led me to make that purchase, what inspired it. Specifically in the video, I said I was inspired by seeing this Orson Irish sweater that was out of my budget, so instead of going to buy the Aritzia dupe, I went on Vinted to try and find something somewhat similar. So tell me why there's someone in the comments of that video saying, oh, Zara makes a dupe, here's the reference code. Did you watch the video? It ends with me saying, hey, look up this brand on resale platforms if you want to find something similar. People are so used to this I see it, I want it, I get it type of consumption, instead of actually putting in a little bit of work to purchase something much higher quality and much more unique. daily I get comments, people asking, where's this from, where's this from, where's this from? And I made a video in the past how I think that that type of super direct kind of devaluing language is also what's making us value the clothing less, but it's also really degrading towards the content creator itself. On the same video about the cardigan, I got another comment that was like, we want to know the name of the cardigan, not the brand. Let's say hypothetically you saw me walking on the street and you liked my cardigan. How would you stop me and ask me, a stranger, in front of you? I think people have begun seeing creators as this like vessel for consumption instead of realizing that this is like, I'm like a real person here, especially because I'm making videos that are starting conversations. I'm trying to tell you the story of this cardigan. I'm trying to tell you why I made this purchasing decision. I'm trying to talk about my clothing with high regard so that you start doing it too.
And I feel like TikTok really pushed more of that consumer mind shift. I mean, don't get me wrong, consumerism has always been there, but the way we are accessing consumption through the short form content drastically made it even more rapid. I think about how for a long time when TikTok added their TikTok shop, I feel like every other video that I get on my For You page is someone recommending a certain product. Because the algorithm can really tailor to your own likes and views, it starts to push products that they think you would potentially like to purchase. I think with fashion on TikTok, it has become more of an emphasis on buying one specific piece. Then you buy multiple one pieces, which then ends up making you look like what we like to call the microtrend final boss.
Material worship and like adopting a microtrend just as an item without considering the context of what it is, where it came from, where you want to take it, what it means to you. Not only is it like bad for the environment and instant gratification, all these things will probably just weigh down on your soul and your mental, it also looks like shit. Nobody's telling you this. They're hyping you up because they see that you have this trendy item. Them being able to identify this trendy item simply means that they know what's in trend. It's an identity thing. The account ootd.com has been posting a lot of like New York City style recently, and the comments are absolutely obliterating all of them. And there's a lot of comments in defense being like, well, you guys just don't know fashion, or you don't know what's going on, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, sure, I guess you do know fashion, like you do know what's trending, what the microtrends are, because like each of the pieces in the videos are what's trending right now, like ballet flats, barrel jeans. But like in my opinion, the reason that a lot of those outfits aren't working is because the items are just being worn to be worn as items, like so that other people around them can tell that they know how to refresh their Pinterest page. I think there's like no thought behind it other than like, I got this because it's cool and I put it on. Or I got this because I saw that it was in somebody's trend forecasting TikTok and I put it on. I know this is such a buzzword, but it's just like peak virtue signaling. Because it seems like there's no further inspiration or appreciation other than like, this is cool, I want to be cool, so I'm wearing it. It's just so clear to me that you are wanting to communicate that you are a fashion person, fashion girly, fashion whatever.
Even though you are not consciously trying to participate in this type of consumerism, just being on an app like TikTok with the shop links, it automatically just tries to recommend a video in that way. So it makes it harder to establish authentic credibility in a saturated market. And what I mean by this is when you're fully being shoved different products in your face and everyone's saying that this is the best product in the world, it becomes really difficult to understand, okay, whose credibility is authentic. At this point, do you really need those 20 storage fridge units? I don't know. And a lot of these TikTok shop videos, they often give you like situations on how the product works and thus ties the lifestyle with the product. So if you've been in a similar experience based on the way they showcase the products, you are obviously going to be easily influenced. TikTok really pushes rapid consumption and impulse buying combined with influencer marketing, and continues this cycle of impulse shopping. And this includes certain like niche aesthetics. Think of cottagecore, think of office siren, or even like the clean girl aesthetic. It becomes more about embodying this lifestyle. And that's not only just the fashion, but it's the hobbies, the habits, the interiors, even your location, or even how you spend your time. For example, the clean girl aesthetic, which I feel like most of us have come across that kind of content at one point in time, because the type of content I usually kind of see of this aesthetic is, eating greens, being productive, shopping at, specific grocery stores. I think of Erewhon. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with if you love these aesthetics and participate in it. I'm trying to say is that these can be aspirational. At the same time, I feel like they can be overwhelming, especially if you're someone who tries to embody maybe multiple aesthetics at once, or you're trying to figure that out for yourself. Yeah, I do like the hobbies of a clean girl aesthetic, but I like dressing in an office siren. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes a little bit more confusing, I feel like, especially as a younger individual just trying to figure out yourself in this world. Of course, you should be able to try different aesthetics or niches that you want, interests that you have. But what I'm finding out a lot is, especially in this digital age, is that there isn't really like an awkward phase that I feel like most young adults are getting into. Millennial here, I will be comparing basically the lifestyle changes. I feel like I grew up in the early 2000s. I mean, yes, we had the internet, but and we were the beginning of accessing social media, but it was not at this rapid pace that it was with Gen Z. Back in the day, there was less of us to compare ourselves with. We had limited access to the internet because it was really expensive, and also not everyone had a computer or a phone at the time that had internet. We all just relied on texting and calling after 6. When it came to media influence, it was heavily relied on television, magazines, and even the people just around you in your community. I would compare myself to somebody. It would be, I don't know, Julie from high school versus Julie that lives in Iceland.
Okay, let's address the personal style epidemic. So my personal theory is that social media has made having personal style physically impossible. But as a millennial who grew up in the era of MySpace, I will say that social media has introduced a culture of sameness into the zeitgeist that we cannot recover from. We absolutely have opened Pandora's box with Instagram and TikTok, and it looks like a bunch of Hailey Bieber clones. One of my mutuals on here, Christina, I'll tag her below, she had a video about mimetic desire. The theory of mimetic desire states that we only desire things because we observe other people desiring those things. And I don't even think the philosopher who introduced that theory was taking social media into consideration when they observed this. Through social media, we're able to have this voyeuristic point of view into the lives of others in a way that's absolutely unprecedented. And when you introduce a concept like mimetic desire, we're seeing other people on our phones all day, every day. Not only are we seeing individual people, we are seeing hundreds of people every single day. That's how you wind up with these phenomenons where you see everyone wearing sambas, or every girl in the East Village in the exact same outfit, or the concept of the millennial uniform where it's like a black top, mom jeans, and then a little black boot, or everyone having the same exact beige home. I think social media has made subcultures pretty much impossible at this point. That's not to say that subcultures don't exist, but most of the time when people are engaging with these subcultures, they are engaging on a superficial or aesthetic level only. Additionally, the commodification of fashion, even within my own lifetime, has grown exponentially since the 90s. Most people are only shopping at the same 3 stores, so inevitably everyone's gonna end up with the same things. Remember that 2016 Zara dress that went viral with the denim ruffle up here? That's basically the modern equivalent of the 80s mall rat on steroids. In previous years, thrift shopping and secondhand shopping were the antidote to sameness. Guess what is flooding thrift stores now? Forever 21, Charlotte Russe, Wet Seal, everything like that. All fast fashion. And it's really egregiously priced, like unattainably expensive. Nobody should be spending $80 on a Charlotte Russe top that originally cost $9. Another factor that I believe is contributing to the death of personal style is the need for approval from others via social media.
Let's talk about lifestyle, because I feel like in order to have personal style, you need to literally live life. Personal style isn't something you can simply just learn. It's something that evolves with you over time. People often try to find their personality through style rather than the other way around. And there is no singular definition of style because taste is subjective and style develops through self-reflection. And that is the key right there. And I think that's something that I feel at a very young age is really hard to figure out. And I tend to try to focus on secondhand clothing because that's just something that I've wanted to do for myself. And as someone who's plus size, there is so many different difficulties that I have when it comes to expressing myself with fashion through the secondhand space. But if that's something in my personal identity and my values, I want to continue to express myself that way. So that's why you do see that in my fashion, in the choices I'm making with my clothing pieces, and that being majority of them being secondhand. Just when it comes to fashion, I don't want to forget that socioeconomic factors in our access to fashion and consequently our ability to express our personal style. I say this, there's so many different factors that doesn't allow us to participate in creating a personal style because don't have the same living situations, privileges. That's why we all gotta do what we gotta do for ourselves. Your self-expression is the most vital. As individuals grow, our style evolves. So at the end of the day, do I feel like you're gonna find a personal style? No, because it's gonna be a process of continuous growth and practice. I do say there's maybe times where you feel like you're gonna be really close to your personal style. We are a people that change through social interactions. I think that it's gonna always be an evolving door. Being constantly shown new styles online leaves little time for introspection, making it harder to figure out what truly aligns with your personal taste. I think something that I've experienced is fashion fatigue. And I think this all stems from just being too much online. The term of being basic, y'all, I feel like this is something that has been used in a very negative way, but I feel like it has now taken a different shape of meaning. There's a reason why basic is also a positive thing.
This is a reminder that style is almost always a function of function. And I'm going to explain what I mean. I was watching this creator's video, and essentially she was explaining she saw a video of a girl who recreated Kate Moss's iconic festival outfit, this one. And the girl who recreated this outfit wore it to a festival, and she was basically saying, people don't get that I'm wearing Hunter rain boots in like a Kate Moss, this vibe kind of way. And this creator was saying the reason that people aren't really picking up what you're putting down is because when Kate Moss was wearing the rain boots, they served a functional purpose above all else, and then she found a way to make it chic and stylish. I fear that sometimes the fashion girlies forget that clothes are functional before they're anything else. Everybody needs clothes, right? Like you can't walk outside with no clothes on. That's literally illegal. When you build a wardrobe and when you build a style that is full of clothes that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also functional, I think that's where you're going to get the best outfits. I think part of the reason that we look back on certain people's style with such awe and such nostalgia is because a lot of their outfits are practical above all else. This Princess Diana outfit, Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. There's not much you can't do in jeans and a t-shirt. The way that it's being worn and the way that it's styled makes it chic and makes it fashionable while also being functional. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I truly don't think everyday fashion is supposed to be like suspend your disbelief type vibe. There are some occasions where you are supposed to suspend your disbelief for the fashion. For example, I think about Tyla at the Met Gala and how she had to physically be carried up the stairs because her dress was so form-fitting that she couldn't walk. This is a very specific example of a setting in which I think fashion does trump function. But when it comes to everyday style, I think the people who have the best style are the people who understand that their clothes serve a purpose other than just for the look. I think it's part of the reason that we like to see Birkin bags styled like this as opposed to like the clean, pristine look like this. This look has its beauty and its purpose too, don't get me wrong. But when you see a Birkin bag look like this, you can tell that it's being used for its functional purpose.
I agree with this creator. Everyday fashion doesn't always have to be expressive. Above all else, it's supposed to be functional. And that truly ties what I've said before, that when it comes to fashion, your lifestyle is imperative to understand why you're dressing the way you do. Save your creative energy on doing something else. You know, I think of it kind of like I'm not always doing my hobbies every day. I take pottery and I go every Monday, Wednesday, and then play the pianos on Fridays, you know. And I think it's the same practice with your fashion. It doesn't always have to be that you dress up every day or you have to say something with your style every day. Function, purpose is what is the most imperative, because where are you going today? What are you doing? Who are you gonna see? Where do you live? How's the weather? All in all, with personal style, you need time to reflect. You're gonna reflect on all your style choices. You need to go through them. And to be honest, I feel like people that do have maybe a high regarded personal style like Jane Birkin, it's not because they were sitting there and like figuring out, oh, what is my personal style? They were just living life, y'all. Really showed the things they liked in their everyday lifestyle and we're wearing them. I mean, that's why we have the Jane Birkin bag. It's about experiencing life in these clothes.
The real tea about personal style is we were never meant to care this much. Like, real glamorous girls do not have time to worry about serving a look every day. Their style happens as a byproduct of them living. They're having great conversations with friends, they're developing perspective and taste, and not to clock you, but they're strengthening their CVs.
Personal style is not about being unique. I'm going to save you some time here. It's not about being the first, it's not about being the only one. It's about developing the ability to put something on because you are following a trend, to putting something on because it means something to you. But if you've come to a point where you realize, hey, I actually don't want to dress like anyone else, I actually want to put in the effort to be a bit more unique, then that's your stylistic choice. But that is not the essence of what personal style means. So keep this in mind before another video tells you that, oh, just because someone dressed the same as you have no personal style. Doesn't make sense.
With that, I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite social theories, and that is the social interactionist perspective. One of the theorists, their name is George Herbert Mead, and this theory highlights how social interactions shape individuals and their meanings are assigned to things and people. This theory emphasizes that people actively influence their environment through their interactions, whether that's them being passive recipients or active recipients. Herbert Mead's concept that self-image develops through social interaction and underscoring the idea that behaviors are unpredictable and shaped by personal interpretation. And that is personally how I see society as a whole, is through this particular lens. Life experiences and the meanings that you create with those smallest interactions, how you communicate, but also how you communicate yourself to the world. And I ultimately feel that this perspective is how I live my life in society, because I think social interactions really do shape the overall experience in your life. And this is why behavior is always changing and it's unpredictable and it's unique. I just wanted to add a little social in there because you know me, whenever I can use my degree, I'm gonna do it. And ultimately, the key ingredient to have a personal style is having a personality. I think some of us are just thinking about it a little too much, and me included is why I made the video. But we're here to experience life and have meaningful connections in our clothing. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for tuning in and hearing me yap regarding this topic, but it is something that I had saved in my notes and been wanting to discuss for a while, but I just got to in my head and I was like re-inspired by watching Mina Lee's video, which it is linked in the description, so you should check it out. I want to hear your thoughts on this. I am curious to know what your opinions are about personal style, so please let me know in the comments down below. So thank you so much for tuning in and I really appreciate it. If you want to check out Dossier, I left the link in the description box down below. You can follow me on all my socials. They're living as Karina. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon with a new video. Bye!